This video is not sponsored by anyone, but it was made possible largely by my friends at Optics Planet who provided me with this Holosun HE507C-GR X2 for review. Holosun doesn't have anything to do with this review, and I'm not being compensated, but for full transparency, Optics Planet did provide this optic to the channel, and I don't have to return it. But you can save money if you use the discount code JustinOpinion. Whenever you buy from Optics Planet, you'll save an additional 5% on their already low prices, so be sure to do that. This is the upgraded X2 version of the same fundamental reflex sight that Holosuns have been making for several years. You can get it in a red dot or a green dot version. The GR model number indicates the green reticle. I've been running a Holosun 507C red dot for several years and on countless handguns and even some long guns, and it's always been among my favorites. I was anxious to try the green reticle because there are times that I have trouble with red dots, and I wanted to see if the simple color change would solve some of those troubles. Mainly the problem that I have is that outside in daylight, the red dot can be difficult to see against some backgrounds. Especially any kind of red or orange background, as you may know. I use a lot of orange target dots, so that can be a problem. First, let's look at the key specs on the sight. It starts with my favorite type of reticle, and that is a 32 MOA circle with a 2 MOA dot in its center. I love that sight picture for fast acquisition, and it almost feels like cheating. You can choose from 3 options with the reticle: circle and dot, circle only, or dot only. Reticle size is not an adjustable configuration, but there are 12 brightness settings and full automatic setting that uses ambient light to help select the best brightness. Holosun claims up to 50,000 hours of battery life with the dot only when the brightness is set at about halfway, which is setting number 6. It takes a standard CR1632 battery, and a big improvement over the early generation 507 is that the battery compartment is accessed via a tray that you can open from the side. No need to remove the mounted optic and potentially have to re-zero your sight. Compared physically to the original sight I've used for years, very little has changed aside from that battery access. It has the same form factor and footprint and the same mount pattern. You can see minor alterations in the design if you look closely enough, but nothing significant. Like earlier models, it uses a solar failsafe power system that employs a small solar cell array on top of the lens hood to power the unit. And if my understanding is correct, the priority is for the sight to use the solar cell for the power when possible and fall back to the battery when it needs it. If you do most of your shooting outdoors in daylight, this means that you're using very little battery power at all. All right, those will be my first shots with the Holosun with the green reticle. Been looking forward to it, but I have absolutely no idea whether this thing's going to be on or not. So I may have to do some zeroing in order to find that out. I've got an orange dot 11 yards down range. For you Common Core kids, that's 33 feet. And let me see how close it is. All right, that ought to be enough to give me an idea. The X2 also has shake awake technology, not to be confused with shake and bake technology, that puts the unit to sleep after about 10 minutes of no movement and instantly turns it back on and set to the last setting when the motion is detected.
All right, so I went down and looked at the target after those first 5 shots, and because I can't see it as well as you can when I'm shooting at it. But it looked like, you know, within my realm of accuracy, shooting offhand at that distance, it looks like this thing's pretty well zeroed, I think, for what I'm going to need today. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot a few more because I do want to talk about one of the advantages of the green reticle as opposed to a red reticle. When I shoot a red reticle, a lot of times against an orange background like that target has, it can be a little bit tricky to see, but with the green, man, it just really jumps out. So I'm setting an expectation that I should be shooting it better, right? But it definitely takes away that excuse. Shooting Remington UMC, by the way. 115 grain ball, for those of you keeping score. All right. That mag was full. That's 17 rounds in total, counting the first 5. So it looks from back here like they all found their home pretty well in the middle. So yeah, I'd say she's zeroed in well enough to start shooting some steel targets.
The housing is good quality and made from 7075 T6 aluminum with an anodized finish. I like the new finish better than the glossy black of the earlier version 507. It just seems a little less likely to give off reflection or glare, but that could be my imagination. The window size is 0.63 by 0.91 inches, and the unit weighs 1.5 ounces. Reticle adjustments are easy with elevation and windage dials easily accessible, and a tool for adjustments is provided. Those adjustments happen in 1 MOA per click intervals. Settings for the reticle and other options of operation are done by pressing and holding the plus and minus buttons for a few seconds to toggle between modes and settings. I tested the HE507C-GR X2 on a Smith & Wesson Performance Center Core 9mm. Because I know it's accurate, I tend to shoot it well, and it has tall sights for co-witnessing that really help me to evaluate the reticle. The sight was zeroed pretty good right out of the box, and I never adjusted it. I appreciate that extra step taken by Holosun.
All right, after 17 rounds into an orange dot, I think I can trust the zero on this Holosun, so I'm gonna have a little bit of fun and see if I can hit some steel targets with it. They're actually a little further away, probably 12 yards or so. Man, having a hard time on that one. All right, let's get this figured out. Let me go back to the circle. Got a twofer. So that had to be a pretty centered hit. All right, that sight is on, so go over to this other rack. There we go. That's how that's supposed to work. There we go. The green reticle is very bright against the background, even against green, which a lot of people think it might not be, but it's easier to see the green reticle against green background than it is to see red reticles against a red or orange background. That's what I find anyway. All right, we'll finish on a hit.
I certainly didn't stress test the sight or give it long durability tests or anything like that, but it seemed to hold a 0 extremely well, even during some rather spirited shooting. I made sure it was torqued to 15 inch-pounds, as recommended, and it never budged. A couple of cons for me are that the window of the 507s is just a bit on the small side, especially compared to many of the newer competitor models that offer as much as 50% more glass on the same footprint. The other is that the reticle never really appears completely crisp, even when the illumination is low. This could be partly my own eyesight, so take that with a grain of salt. However, even my very expensive Nikon lenses seem to show fuzzy edges around the edge of the reticle. This is more pronounced with the higher power settings. That said, it's really not a very big complaint. The last complaint is probably even much smaller and more subjective, but I perceive the reticle to be just slightly off level when using the 32 MOA circle. This is due to the 4 indicator lines at the compass positions on the circle, and I couldn't help but feel that it was 1 or 2 degrees too far clockwise. This would be more of an issue if it was mounted on a rifle, of course, than it is with a handgun. It really makes no meaningful difference with a handgun, but it does play with your head. Bottom line is, this is an excellent reflex sight for a handgun. I really like the green reticle more than red. Humans can see more shades of green than any other color, and even outdoors in the woods or shooting at a green target, this sight jumps right out at you, and it doesn't get lost like a red dot sometimes can. Holosun seems to have kept all the best qualities of the original 507 series sight and changed only the things that needed to be changed. For me, the X2 in green is a keeper. The MSRP is $399, so it should have a street price closer to $350 once inventories are filled. And that seems priced just about right. Hey, thanks as always for watching. Thanks again to Optics Planet for being a good partner to the channel and sending this optic out for review and for providing you guys with the discount code. Thanks to all my Patreon patrons. You guys are awesome. Thanks to you for watching. And if you don't mind doing it, go down and just crush the like button. And if you don't subscribe, go ahead and do that too, because you never know. One of these days I might make a really good video and you don't want to miss that.